When I came this morning to the studio to record this video, I met the makeup artist, and she came with a suitcase and a backpack. And I was thinking, she's traveling after the session. And then she opened the suitcase, and she opened the backpack, and she get up all her tools, makeup, brushes, lot of things to get me ready for the recording. If this is the tools for a makeup artist, what about developers? They need the right tools. So how they can build AI solution as a developer? What does the AI Azure toolbox actually look like? What are the tools developers use to build real AI application in Azure? Because AI is not just one thing. It's a combination of models, tools, data, and infrastructure, all working together. So as a developer, where do all of these pieces live? Where do you actually go to build and run AI solutions? If you are wondering that, you are in the right place. Hi, I'm Sarah Alali, a senior technical trainer at Microsoft specializing in AI Copilot and building intelligent and secure applications on Microsoft Azure. I have a PhD in computer science and 12 years teaching training experience. This course covers 12 sessions where we will dive into core AI concepts in Azure and learn how to turn ideas into real application using modern tools like Microsoft Foundry. In the second session, we will cover how to get started with AI in Azure. I will walk you through the foundation of AI in Azure and the tools developers use to build AI application. In the previous session, we have talked about AI, what it can do, and how to use it responsibly. Now let's talk about the foundation that makes all of this possible, Microsoft Azure. Think of Azure as the home where AI lives. Before you can build smart AI or applications, you need a safe, organized place to run them. That's exactly what Azure provides. Azure is a cloud platform that takes care of the heavy work for you. For example, you don't manage servers, you don't handle hardware failures, you don't worry about scaling when more users arrive. Microsoft manages all of that for you. At the same time, Azure gives team flexibility. Developer can start small, experiment, and later scale the same solution to thousands or millions of users. This balance is why Azure is ideal for AI. Azure is structured in a very logical way, as you can see in the slide. Okay, let's walk through it using real-world comparison. Start at the top with a tenant. Think of a tenant as your company building. Only people who belong to that organization can enter. This is handled using Microsoft Entra ID. It checks who you are and what you are allowed to do. For example, an employee can access AI tools. A service account can run an AI application while an authorized user stays out. Inside the building, you have subscriptions. Think of subscription like a credit card or budget envelope. Many organizations use different subscriptions for development, testing, and production. That way, they know exactly where the cost comes from and can control spending. Inside the subscription, you have resource group. Think of resource group as a project folder. Everything related to one project goes into the same folder. The AI service, the storage, the application, and the network. If you delete the project, you remove everything together. Simple, clean, organized. Inside the resource group, we have resources. These are the actual things you use: an AI service, a database, a web app, or a storage account. When people say, I deployed an AI solution on Azure, they are really talking about all these things inside. AI doesn't work in isolation. It needs secure identity control, protected data, cost tracking, monitoring, and governance. Azure provides all of this by design. Without this foundation, AI would be powerful but risky and hard to manage. Now let's move on and talk about the star of the show, Microsoft Foundry, the AI workspace. Now that we have seen how Azure provides the foundation for AI, let's move one level higher and talk about Microsoft Foundry. Foundry sits inside Azure and is designed specifically for AI work. Think of Foundry as a unified platform for building AI applications and AI agents on Azure. It simplifies how teams design, build, and manage AI without everyone having to stitch together dozens of services from scratch. Microsoft Foundry brings everything you need to build AI app and agent into one experience. Models, agents, tools, and knowledge all running securely on Azure infrastructure. So, before we go deeper, let's understand the architecture of Microsoft Foundry. First, we have Microsoft Foundry Resource. This is the platform foundation that we create in Azure. It provides compute, storage, networking, model delivery, and security and access control. Think of it like building where AI works happens. It's managed at the Azure level and shared across teams. Then inside the Foundry resource, we create projects. A project is an isolated workspace where a team actually builds an AI app or agent. Think of projects like separate rooms in the building. One room for a sales assistant, another for customer support, and another for HR. Each project is isolated, but all of them benefit from the same security and governance foundation. Now let's look at what you work with inside a project, using one simple example. So imagine with me we are building an AI assistant for employees to answer HR questions. First, the models that provide intelligence. In Foundry, you choose and deploy models from a large model catalog without managing infrastructure yourself. So for our HR assistant, the model understands language, interprets questions, and also generates responses. You don't train neural networks manually. Foundry handles model delivery for you. Then we have agents that provides reasoning and orchestration. Agents are where AI becomes active. An agent uses a model, but also remembers context, makes decisions, and orchestrates multiple steps. So our HR agent doesn't just answer questions. It decides, do I need to look up for policy? Do I need to ask a follow-up question? Or maybe do I need to call a system? Agents turn intelligence into behavior. So when we talk about agent tools, tools let agents do things. Tools provide actions and integrations. Tools connect agents to APIs, databases, business systems, and Azure services. So in our example, a tool lets the agent check vacation balance, for example. Another tool can retrieve working from home policies, and another can send a follow-up email. Without tools, AI only talks, but with tools, AI can act. Finally, knowledge. This helps grounding AI in your data. So we are going to grow up your data knowledge and keeps AI accurate and trustworthy. Knowledge defines what data an agent can access, document, databases, or maybe an internal websites. Our HR agent use official company policies, not just random internet content. This is called grounding, where we answer based on our data, not guess and not hallucinations. Now that we understand what Microsoft Foundry is and how it brings together models, agents, tools, and knowledge, the next question is simple. How do our application actually talk to Foundry? The answer is through Foundry endpoints. An endpoint is simply the main door to Microsoft Foundry. It's the HTTP address that an application uses to access models, agents, and services hosted in Foundry. Let's make that simple with an example. So imagine our AI assistant for employees to ask HR questions. When a user types a question like, "How many vacation days do I have left?" the application sends that request to a Foundry endpoint. The endpoint passes the request to the right AI service and then returns the answer back to the application. This follows a basic client-server model. The application is actually the client, and Microsoft Foundry is the server side for the AI platform. The endpoint is the connection point between them. Of course, not just anyone should be able to call that endpoint. That's why access is secured using authentication and authorization, typically with an API key or Microsoft Intro ID token. So in our HR example, the application first proves its identity. Once it is authenticated, Foundry allows it to access the model, the agent, or maybe the tool it needs. This helps protect both the AI service and the business data behind them. Now let's talk about what actually moves between the application and the endpoint. Foundry endpoint expose REST interfaces over HTTP, and they typically exchange information in JSON format. That means the application sends a structured request that includes things like the operation it wants to perform, authentication details, metadata, and headers, and also the actual input data, such as the user's questions. Then, Foundry sends back structured response, also in JSON, containing metadata, headers, and the operation result, such as the generated answer. Now, if you are thinking that sounds technical, you're right. But developers usually don't work with all of that manually. Instead, they use SDKs, or software development kits, which simplify the process. An SDK acts like a helper library. Instead of manually building HTTP calls and JSON messages, developer can use simple programming commands, and the SDK handles the endpoint call, the formatting, and often the authentication flow as well. So the big idea is this. Foundry endpoints are what make AI usable inside your real application. They allow web app, internal business tools, and other software to connect to models, agents, and services running Microsoft Foundry. Without endpoints, the AI would stay inside the platform, but with the endpoint, it becomes part of everyday business applications. Now let's do a quick exercise where we get started in Microsoft Foundry, where we will start by creating a Microsoft Foundry project, and then we explore the Foundry portal. We will also have a chance to deploy a model and connect it to our first AI app. You can also practice this exercise in your own environment by accessing the lab steps in the link that you can see on the screen, or by visiting the AI-901 learning path through the Microsoft Learn platform. In this exercise, we're going to create and explore Microsoft Foundry project. So in the web browser, we are visiting the ai.azure.com. As you can see, here we are in the Foundry portal. I'm going to start by moving to the new Foundry portal. Here it's asking us for selecting or searching a project or creating new project. So I'm going to create a new one. You need to give it a name, your project, where you're going to work in. It's going to check the name if it's correct. Then here we have some advanced options, so we can select things like subscription. We can select things like also resource group, region. So you can decide which region we want to deploy our solution. Always keep closer to your customer. So here I'm keeping it to Sweden. I can create or select an existing resource group. So here I'm selecting or creating the new resource group, keeping it the same name, not going to change anything here. And I can see up also the Foundry resource name. Now, while it's creating, I'm going to just show you a little bit the documentation here. So there is a lot of region availability. You can confirm region availability in the documentation always. So to see if you have the availability in your region. Plus, documentation contains much more information to help you to learn how to start with the Microsoft Foundry, how to work with it, the models supported. So it's always useful to have this documentation handy to understand what you can do and what you cannot do with Microsoft Foundry. Now it's ready, fantastic. So we can really start here. So I can see here I have the welcome. I can also look into other things. So I can click the next button where I can have also information about my project endpoint. So I can see here I have the project endpoint information that I can copy. And also the OpenAI endpoint. I always have two, so you select whatever convenient for you. Now, when we are happy, we copied everything, we can either create agent and start, or we can basically close this window and start working. First thing that we notice here when we go to the Foundry portal, so we have here in the middle, in our project, which is the Foundry demo, information that we want to use. So we have the API key, the project endpoint, and the Azure OpenAI endpoint. So you don't find them only in where to start, but everywhere. So here's the API key. I'm not using it. I'm disabling it. As you can see, the API key authentication is disabled. I prefer to work only with Intra ID token only. So it's disabled. I'm not using it. Now let's have a look quickly to the Azure portal. First thing, let's really search the keyword Microsoft Foundry here in the search bar. So we search Foundry, or you can find it also in the Azure services, or you can also search it in other ways, like more services, for example. So there is all different ways in the Azure portal to search information. So here we are in Microsoft Foundry. We can go to the All Resource section to really see the resource that we have in Microsoft Foundry. So I can see here I have 3. But the one I care about is the Foundry demo, is the one that I really care about, that we are going to work on it now in the demo. Now that I access it, so I have in the overview some essential information. For example, the resource group. We have the subscription. Also, we have here the endpoint. So we have here the button to view. I click on it to view the endpoint. That is really useful. We'll see during this session how it's useful, the endpoint to use, why it's important also. And also we have other things like location, statue, and API type. I have a button here to go to the Foundry portal, so to get back where we were. Also, we have this resource visualizer, which is really interesting. It shows you kind of the architecture of your Foundry. So you can see here the Foundry, and then down we have the Foundry project. Now we have we visualize the resource. We can go to projects also to see the list of projects, or maybe create a new project. Just give it a name, description, and we really will be creating our project. Importantly, we have key and endpoint. Really, really important if you use the key. But again, I'm disabling this. So you see it's grayed out here. And always, as you can see, we have two keys, key 1 and also key 2. And you can see both of them are disabled by the resource owner. As I said, there is only the intra-ID token. We have also other interesting things like encryption. Data is always encrypted by default using in Microsoft. You can use either the Microsoft managed key or you can grab your key with the customer managed key. We have also the networking section where we can see, we can give access to our Foundry. We decide how to give access, all the network, maybe select the network and private endpoint, or maybe block it, disable it all. And then we create only maybe a private endpoint connection only. We also have other things like identity, where you can manage system-assigned identity, user-assigned identity. We have also cost analysis. We have the security. We have Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So it comes with all the benefits of the Microsoft Azure portal. Why not to take really a tour of Foundry right now? So when we start, we can start by the menu up. We have the home. We are in the home. Now we have the discover. So when you go to the discover, is there we can discover models. So you have here some featured models. We have here models popular also by providers. So you can see different models popular by providers. So for example, we have here Anthropic, Azure OpenAI, Microsoft, DeepSeek, Meta, Mistral AI. So we have a lot of models. Also, you can search, if you don't want to search by provider, you can also click on view all models, as you can see here. And you can search out the model that interests you. You can search them by different configurations. So you can filter out by different configurations. So you have, first of all, you have collection. You have also capabilities. You have the source. You have the interference tasks. You have the fine-tune methods. You have also the industry. And you can also sort them by featured. So either the newest, recent, updated. So you decide. And when you open each of them, so you can see here different collection from Azure, Foundry Lab, capabilities. You have the reasoning, fine-tuning, agent support. You have different source also. You can see here a list, really, really long one for the different sources. Also, we have tools. So same for tools. You can search out next tools that you want to include. You can search them by their type, custom, remote MCP, by provider, Microsoft or partners, by category. So you have productivity, analytics, by registry also, by supported authentication also. So you can see here the list. You have here, you can also filter the list by, you sorted the list. You can see here we have Azure Cosmos DB, MongoDB MCP server. We have also the work IQ, the different work IQ, Teams, Word, and so on. The Microsoft Dataverse, Azure Managed Redis. So whatever the tool that you need for your solution, so you include it. So for example, you could get interested work IQ Word, and you just go on it, you read, and you connect. We have also some solution templates, so you can search them per service. We have Get Started with AI Chat, for example, with AI Agent. You click one that interests you, and then you just see how you could possibly integrate it. Also have some quick facts, the author, the language, the models, the license. So you have really different ways to select. Next, you have build. So in the build, so you can see whatever it's built within your solution. So you can click create agent and you create the agent, right? You can code the agent, so you can go code the agents and then you get started. You have also workflows, so if you have any workflows or you want to create workflows, so you can create workflows like sequential, human in the loop, group chat. You have also the different models. You can see the different deployed models. We're going to visit this later on when we have models that are really deployed. You can also look at your custom models. You can look at the long list of AI services. Amazing, right? So you can search out whatever the AI service that interests you and work with it. Also, you have the batch jobs. You can create the batch jobs. So it's here, the build is to build, really. We have also the fine-tune. So you can fine-tune a pre-trained model. So you have also here tools. You can look at your toolbox, you create new tools, you connect to tools. If maybe you need knowledge, so you can go to knowledge. You can see here also it's providing us with a Foundry IQ, understanding video, how to understand the multi-source AI knowledge base for Foundry IQ, how to use it. These are just to put the information of the Azure AI search resource and the authentication type and just connect and start working with it for the connection. We have also the data. So you can see here the data set, the files, the synthetic data generation. You have also the evaluation here. You can really evaluate the quality and safety of your generative AI application. So you just create that. You put the target, is it an agent, a model, data set, traces, and then you go and put the other information, the data, the criteria, the review, and you really can start doing the comparing a model performance, really. You also have the guardrails. So you can go to the guardrails, and in the guardrails you can add guardrails to reduce safely and securely risk. So you're going to ensure compliance with responsible AI policies for generative AI content and behavior. So from there, you have two options. Also, Microsoft Default V2. You can put some block list. You can create your block list by putting description. You add the terms manually, or you can upload it via CSV file. So if it's manually, you go one by one. You can put either match or regular expression. You have also integration here where you can register and enable trusted third-party integrations. We have also the operate section. So here's in the operate page, you can really operate your AI solutions basically by managing assets. So you can register your assets. Assets could be like agents, models, tools, projects, and so on. Now here you can see how you can filter to see the result, but in this subscription we don't have much. It's fundamental course, so you don't have much. You can not see a lot of information. But there is a lot of things there, agent trend volumes, you have activities, you have the estimated costs, and so. And you can also organize it per asset. So you can see here we have agent, we have models, we have tools. So you grab just agent URL to register your asset. You put the protocol, the open telemetry, intra ID, and so on. So you really fill in the information to register your asset and start observing like that security part and policy part. You have also here compliance section where you're going to make sure that you apply the policy. So you can see here policies, guardrails, security posture, data security and governance. And guess who is here? Like you have Microsoft Defender for Clouds that appear in here. So it depends what type of security you have, different Microsoft security product. Here you can see the Microsoft preview. It's just here, just connect to the different products. So when it comes to like purview, so you can see what it can provide you. So monitoring sensitive data, detect risks, enforce data loss prevention, also policies, and compliance standards, which is really, really good. You can also view and manage quota, so you can configure it, so you can define the limits of usage of your model and other asset in your project. So you can see here how much I'm consuming to what I'm allocated to do. So we have here information. You can manage it more, what is related to your quota, so you are aware how much you are using. And you can also configure your provisioned throughput units if needed for your subscriptions, regions, and you can track the usage across your deployment, which is really, really useful when you want to manage costs. And here you have the admin section where you can really admin your project. So you can see here our projects. You can also configure or add your AI gateway easily from here. Now let's move on to the documentation. Documentation for Microsoft Foundry, it's really, really well covered. So you have a lot of documentation. It's really easy to get started. You can see you have, for example, quick start, so how to chat with an agent. You can see the prerequisite. You can see whatever the programming language that you are using. And the environment variable to get started, so it depends to that. So you are really covered here. So you can see here we have the Python, there is also the C#, TypeScript, Java, REST API, and also how to do it with the Foundry portal. So you have all the details, step by step, how to do installation authentication, how to chat with the model, and you already covered with what is needed depends to your use case that you are going to apply in here. So if we take here, for example, C#, the code is going to change, depends to what we are using. So C#, Java is going to be Java. So REST API, a curl call. So it depends to whatever you are using. So you just follow the steps. It's really well documented one by one how to do it. You have also some tutorials. For example, here idea to prototype. You have other things like how to get started with agent service, building your agent, how to deploy and share, Foundry models, starting with Foundry models too. So you can see here we have Foundry models sold directly by Azure. So you can have information about Foundry models sold by Azure. So you see the list. It changed whatever each time. So here it changed each time we have new models. Some other models just go to end of life. So you have all the information. So you can go there and have information about description, context window, and max output token also. And you can take a tour of other documentation you have, and it's really helpful that having it embedded in the platform. You have also from your profile, you can get information about the user. You can also send some feedbacks if needed. And you have here the notifications. So whenever you change, you deploy, you modify, you have notification. And you have the agent helper. So you can go to ask AI things like how to do this, which model are available in my region, where I can find this, where I can find that. So you can ask it different things. For example, I can ask it, what can I do with Microsoft Foundry? Where it's generate a result, you can see also the approval setting that exists. You have the no action, you have the manual approval, system, data access. Okay, right, we have an answer quickly. So here's explaining for us what is Microsoft Foundry. So you have more information, have links also to go check documentation. So it's not building from nonsense, so it's providing from official Microsoft documentation. Let's get back to this. So you have different approval settings that you could configure when it comes to really chatting with this AI. The first, we have no action. Here, the agent can still answer a question based on our documentation, so the documentation from Microsoft. But it cannot perform any actions on behalf of the user, okay? You have also the manual approver, okay? So the manual approver, you always review and approve every action, including reading your system setting and your data set. Also, we have the system access. For the system access, you pre-approve all actions that read system level information without needing to provide an approval each time, right? The final one is the data access, and here you pre-approve all actions that read your data set and also evaluation result without needing to provide an approval each time. So this level includes system access, the previous one, and plus more things. Okay, so that's really about that AI. So why not now to move and build our first model? So you can go to the Discover. So here we can go to Discover, can look at the models. So we can search, as we said, by collection, or we can search per name. So here I'm searching for the model GPT. Let me look. So I have a lot of GPTs here. I really want the GPT 4.1 mini. So here it is. I'm going to select this. So when you select a model, you see here you have like a catalog, a book or pages to understand what is this model, how to use it, what to expect. You have like quick fact, you have information about the provider. So you have a lot of things. So we have here model provider as well, OpenAI. We have the life cycle, the type, the output type, the context, the pricing. So you can see also here we have direct from Azure models. I can see here. So I have information about how it is secured, what is within it. You have also other information like deployment. You have the benchmark, the responsible AI information, the license. So you can go from one page to another and look at what to expect from this. So deployment, we haven't deployed one yet, so we have no information. Benchmark, we can see like some statistics about the benchmark. The promise of responsible AI with this model, with this provider, which is Microsoft, so it keeps with Microsoft. So let's go to deploy it. So we have the option to deploy default setting or the custom. The custom one is going like to work a little bit on precising things like the version setting, like the token per minute rates, the upgrade policy, how do you want to apply it? As we said, so you are free to choose how to do it. The deployment type, like global, data zone, standard, a global batch, and so on. So you decide how to deploy it. Otherwise, you go with the easy option, like the default settings. And as we are learning, I mean, we can go for the default setting. Quickly, we just deploy. That was fast. So we have already our model in here ready for us to work on it. So here I have my model, and you see I'm using GPT 4.1 mini. If I have more, I can select another. We have here the instructions. So we are just saying it's an AI assistant that helps people. We can add tools, knowledge, memory. We can look at the details to understand more information about this model that we are using. So you can see here names, a token, who does create it, who does modify it. We have some dates, some numbers. We have also the monitoring section. We can monitor the total token, the estimated things. And we have also the evaluation section. We can like evaluate it. So we can create evaluation. Why not to start with a first prompt, right? So what is AI? So AI, or artificial intelligence, refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines. So we have here information about what is AI. We can see also here we have the code. So you can see also if you want to use the code. So there is a section for code, but we're going to look at it later on, this one, the code part. At the moment, let's focus only on basic thing, since we are just starting with Foundry. So now what I want to do, I want to use this model from an application. So I do have this computer history agent that I wanted really to use it use my model, really the model that we deployed through this application, right? So for that, I'm going to provide the endpoint of my Foundry project, the model name that I grabbed them from the Microsoft Foundry resource. So in Microsoft Foundry, remember, we have the project endpoint. So I copied this project endpoint. I put it in here, and here I put the name of the model, which is GPT-4.1 Mini, right? So I'm using this one. So we don't use the Azure OpenAI endpoint, rather it's really the project endpoint. Now we do have authentication mode, so we have two options. Either you can use the key, so we grab the key, or Intra ID. From my side, I'm going to use the Intra ID token. So if you prefer to use the Intra ID app configuration, you are guided really to set up the Intra ID authentication step by step. So you can see here we start with the step 1. We're really registering our application. So it says go to Azure portal, go Microsoft Intra ID app registration, create a new registration, and enter the name computing history agent, and really select account in your organization directory only, and then register it. I have already pre-processed all this. I already prepared in Intra. I will show you, but I already prepared everything. It's ready. We are going just to do the connection. Also, you have the second step, like configure authentication. So you need to do the app registration on the left menu. You add the redirect URL and single panel. You use this URL, so it's going to redirect to the application that we are looking to work with. We put the implicit grant and hybrid flow, so with the access token, ID token, and configuration. Remember, this is not like application security course, so just walking you through, but it's easy to put in place if you want to reproduce these steps. You are really guided here. So you follow like step by step and start work on it. It's not like really difficult, it's not really hard. It's really easy. So step 3 is all about adding the API permission, really. So you will have in your app registration section or for API, the enterprise app registration app section for API permission. So you add the permission. That we expect, which is for our organization users. So we are going to allow for Microsoft Cognitive Service. I'm going to delegate the permission using the user impersonation, and we add the permission. And in the last 2 steps, we just like we guarantee the consent. So we do the admin consent. So the admin consent is going to consent on behalf of the different users. So you guarantee all the admin consent from your tenant. And you're going to verify that it's validated. You have green check mark to say it's validated. And in the last 2 steps is really by assigning the right rule airbag for your user. So you need to at least a cognitive service user rule in the Foundry AI service rules resource in Azure to be able to do the tasks, actually, basically. So you'll be able to do the different tasks. So once everything is ready, you just copy application and directory ID. That's where you are looking for. So you copy these 2 information. So you put them in here, and then you basically signed in to use your application. So once ready, you save configuration, and you see like you signed in with that specific user. You do understand that you already signed in, everything is fine. If you use the key, you just need to grab the API key, the one that you see in here that is disabled in my solution. So let me show you this in Intra. So you go to Microsoft Intra ID. You have the app registration. So you create new registration. You provide the name as supposed to do it. And once your app registration ready, you look to the application. You have the computer history agent. you have that section for the authentication that we said single page application to put it in place. We have also the different things that you need in the API permission. So we said grant admin consent for the tenant for Microsoft Cognitive Service. We have also in the overview, we'll find the things that we need for the application. So once everything ready, you have that things that we are looking for, which is the application client ID and also the directory that needs to be copied. So once everything is copied right, is put in place right, Intra-ID is going to work fine. Now let's start a conversation and try out the different things that we can do with this application. So we're going to use our resource and resource endpoint. Okay, now let's start a new conversation. So first thing, I'm going to ask something basic like, what is AI? So here, definition of AI, artificial intelligence refers to a branch of computer science, etc., etc. So let's try something else, like who was Ada Lovelace? So Ada Lovelace was history in computer science. I see here, given a biography of this person. I can ask also, tell me about her work with Charles to see if it can keep the conversation going and keep history of conversation. So you can see Ada Lovelace collaboration with Charles, so it kept really the discussion. It kept the conversation going, and it didn't like go from zero. So if you look here at the agent configuration, I can see here that I'm using that GPT model, which is from my resource. And you can see that here's the instruction that was prepared specifically for this solution. So to do whatever we are expecting, which is computing history agent. So let's do some other things. For example, search for classic Microsoft logos. So you can see here it's giving me information about Microsoft logos, the version, the different logos are by date, the modern one to 2012, and so on. We have also some clickable links if you want to also access information. Okay, let's start something new. Let's try out really an input voice. Tell me about computer speech. So it detected my voice, it did understand the question correctly, and give me information about computer speech. So this is one of the basic things that we can do with actually voice recognition. We can try out also other AI thing. So let's start a new conversation. Now let's go grab an image. So here's an image of a banana. I'm going to ask it, what is this? Yeah, so it says this is an image of a banana. If you have related to computing history or historic computer restoration, feel free to ask. Let me attach an image here. So here's I grab an image of a computer. I'm going to ask, what is this? So it says this is a modern desktop computer setup. It includes a computer tower, the main processing units. So I'm having more information here about that image, what it includes, and so on. I'm going to try out also a new conversation. Here I'm going to attach an image. I'm going to put an image here. I'm going to ask it to really extract the text from this and search for information that may help identify the computer it came from. Let's see what it's going to do. So, wonderful. So the printed circuits are giving me the name, information about it, which chip came from, which computer. So I can see here Z, ATA, Zilog. Okay. Let's do something else. Let's try out something else. Let's try out some safety guardrails. For example, help me plan to steal historic computers. Okay, so it says I cannot help with this. I can help you only with learning historic computer, how to legally acquire or restore them. So it recognized that this is something illegal and told me I cannot help you with this. Can help you only with legal things. I can ask it other things like how can I get away with software theft? Again, tell me now I cannot assist with this request. This is out of scope in general. I can ask it also how can I use computer as a weapon. So it tell me this trigger content safety filtering policy. I can help you. I cannot help you with this. So here's we try out different things. You can also try out other exercise if you want to. So you can try also connect with Anton. You can do the Ask Anton. So you can also see same configuration. So endpoint URL, deployment, information about the setup. So same setup, same exercise. So you choose whatever you feel more confident to work with, the option that feels more safe for you. So once you finish, don't forget to, if you do the exercise by yourself, when you finish, don't forget to clean up everything from your Foundry project to make sure that everything is clean in your subscription and you don't have any extra cost came up from learning from this exercise. Otherwise, I hope that you enjoyed this demo and let's get back to class. In this session, we discovered tools that help developers build their AI infrastructure using Microsoft Azure and Microsoft Foundry. Remember that all this material is available for free on the Learning Path, and you can find the full Learning Path at the Microsoft Learn platform. This concludes our session. Thank you for joining us for this session. To continue your learning, we encourage you to watch other videos in this course or search out your next favorite topic at the Microsoft Learn at aka.ms/learn. Happy learning!